Why Brayan Bello's complete game signifies a really positive turning point for the Boston Red Sox starting rotation.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and currently also the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's completely free, so make sure you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the show. The Red Sox are coming off of a dominant 10-2 win against the Colorado Rockies last night. And while the offense really exploded for 10 runs and 11 hits in the game, it was the performance of Brayan Bello that really stood out the most for Boston. I'm going to be talking about that on today's show, as well as the return of Masataka Yoshida. And also, what does Marcelo Meyer's spot on the team look like? So, I had said last week on the show that with the Red Sox having the Nationals and Rockies on their schedule, they need to take advantage of both of those teams and they need to go and pounce on both. And so far, they've done exactly that. They swept the Nationals and took the first two games against the Rockies with a chance to sweep them tonight in the series finale. So they are doing exactly what they should be doing in terms of where they stand right now in 2025. And you have to beat up on the really bad teams. And that's exactly what they have been doing as of late. And the offense has been super on fire throughout that stretch. I mean, several players with standout games. Trevor Story went 2 for 4 in the game, but he drove in 4 of the Red Sox 10 runs. So he was clearly a standout offensively. Romy Gonzalez went 3 for 4 in the game as well. So lots of hits going on with this team, but Trevor Story is on fire. He crushed a 3-run homer in this game, and he just continues to stay hot at the plate. And that's one of the biggest storylines of what's taken place over the last couple of weeks for this Red Sox team. But Brayan Bello's performance on the mound last night is one to note, as he pitched a complete game and was nearly unhittable for a lot of it. He gave up just 5 hits with 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. And with the 2 earned runs, he gave up a home run in the 9th inning to lead to those 2 runs. But before that, it was a complete shutout, and he looked unstoppable. It was truly incredible to watch. And at first, his pitch count was super low. So I thought, wow, he might struggle. He might have an inning in which he really gets himself into a lot of trouble. And then the Red Sox are going to have to pull him. But the deeper and deeper he threw into the game and his pitch count was still relatively low, I was like, wow, he has a shot at this. So then going into the 9th inning, I wasn't sure if Alex Cora would let him start the inning or just have a reliever go in. But he went out there to throw. And at one point, Andrew Bailey came out because it was the first inning that Brayan Bello really experienced a lot of base traffic. So I think Bailey just wanted to level his head a little bit in the 9th inning. But it was funny because people started getting so upset about the idea of Bello being taken out of the game. And there were these really loud cheers when Andrew Bailey walked off the field without Brayan Bello, as if he's the one that can pull Bello. People were acting like, wow, I'm so happy that Andrew Bailey kept him in the game. But Andrew Bailey is not the one who makes the decisions to pull him. So I thought that was really funny. Everybody just erupting because Andrew Bailey came off the field without Bello. So he was able to finish the game, gave up that 2-run homer in the 9th inning. But other than that, he was phenomenal. So he ended his 5-hitter in the game with an absolutely nasty changeup that Ryan McMahon whiffed at, setting off more roars at Fenway after they were already on their feet because of the fact that there was a chance he was going to throw a complete game. It was Bello's 10th punch-out of the contest, one shy of a career high. The only previous time that he went the quote-unquote distance was a 6-inning rain-shortened 2-0 loss to the Yankees on September 25th, 2022. So obviously a way different situation now, much longer game that took place, and he was able to throw it complete. He said, I was super happy to be able to enter into the 9th and to be able to compete. It was a dream come true. So he's really happy at the fact that he can cross something else off his list now, which is throw a complete game. And again, his pitch count really was not that high for a lot of this. In total, he threw 107 pitches and 76 of them went for strikes. And I really like to see him have a lot more control than he has in a lot of his other outings, because Bello does have a history of walking guys. And if the command isn't there, it could be a really rough outing for him. But he had much better control of his arsenal in this game and was really hitting that strike zone. He was nearly immaculate in the top of the first inning and perfect through 3 1/3. And he was just the best version of himself overall in the game. An infield hit that third baseman Nate Eaton fielded from the outfield grass before bobbling stopped Bello's quest for a no-hitter. And that ended up being the first hit of the game for the Rockies. And I thought it could have been ruled an error on Eaton, but instead they ruled it a base hit. So bye-bye went the no-hitter, but he still pitched a remarkable game, as the tone was set really from the beginning, as he threw 6 straight strikes to punch out the first 2 Colorado hitters and induced a fly out to left to end the first inning after 7 pitches. So there alone, I could really tell that he was on it. And the biggest thing that I noticed about Bello's performance after that first inning, when he already had thrown his 7 pitches and come off the mound, I said, wow, that could be one of those days. This could be a day where Brayan Bello just really locked in. And sure enough, it was. He was throwing strikes. He was on point. He was generating swings and misses. He was on top of the hitters, and he was getting ahead in counts, which is a big thing for him. He's had trouble with that in the past, getting ahead in counts. And even if he did, he would have trouble staying ahead, and it would lead to him walking a lot of guys. So he would get ahead, stay ahead, and bury the opposing hitters. And that was really great to see, because I spoke with Bello when he was in AAA rehabbing with the Woo Sox, and he mentioned there that he wanted to focus on incorporating the fastball a little bit more back into his arsenal, because he was going with Andrew Bailey's strategy last year, and it really gave him trouble not being able to utilize his fastball as much. So he mentioned that he wanted to incorporate that back into his arsenal a little bit more, and he wanted to work on the location of his off-speed pitches. But this was a phenomenal outing. It's not every day you see a pitcher throw a complete game. I just wish it had been a shutout. But hey, he pitched so well in this game. Lights out for the majority of it. And one thing I noticed about Brayan Bello this season is that he's just a lot more confident in his off-speed stuff. And that's why over the last month, he's truly been able to figure things out. Because when he first came back from the injured list, he was struggling a lot early on, but in the last month he has really turned things around, and that's because he has been able to generate more swings and misses than what we're used to seeing from him. And that's been a big thing that I have noticed. In the walks, he just hasn't allowed as many of those, and he's been pitching deeper into games, which indicates better stamina and control. So throughout the month of June into July, he really has been a different pitcher, throwing with more confidence and throwing like a guy who really wants to be valued as a top tier arm in the Red Sox rotation. And he didn't skip a beat in this game. Now, granted, he was facing the Colorado Rockies, but even still, for Bello to have made that much progress from May until now, I am definitely very impressed with and happy with what I've seen from him. On the season this year, he generates swings and misses at a more frequent rate than what we're used to seeing, and that's something that he has found a lot of success with. This year, he does have his fair share of walks still, but overall he's cutting down on those, pitching deeper into games. Those have all been keys as to why he has been a lot more successful on the mound this season. His strikeout rate right now is 16.7% on the year compared to a 10.0% walk rate. So he has found a way to decrease the walks and increase the strikeouts, and that has truly been miles better for him than when he was throwing last season, even the beginning of this season when he came off the injured list. So it's an absolute game changer for the Red Sox rotation if Brayan Bello continues to pitch this way, because you have guys in there like Garrett Crochet, who obviously is the ace, and Lucas Giolito, who has also been pitching well. So if Bello can lock himself in and be grouped with those two, then you have a 1-2-3 of Garrett Crochet, Brayan Bello, and Lucas Giolito. That's pretty good. So it's really important that Bello continues this and he continues to pitch really well, because he truly pitched nearly as well as you could have hoped for from him in the game last night. So really cool to see a complete game. He was able to limit his pitch counts because the Rockies weren't really seeing him well, so they weren't able to foul off a ton of his pitches to expand his pitch count earlier in the game. So instead, his arm was pretty conserved and he hadn't thrown as many pitches, so it allowed him to have the chance to go out there in the ninth and finish it out. Now, granted, Isaiah Campbell was warming up in the Red Sox bullpen, so Alex Cora knew, hey, just in case, his pitch count is getting high, so we might need you to come in. So he was warming up just in case, but that was Bello's inning, and he took it in stride and he got the job done. So I'm really happy to see that he's shown a lot of growth, and I'm really hoping that that can stay that way. Masataka Yoshida is back, a moment you've all been waiting for the Red Sox. Going to be discussing it a little bit next. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. I personally can relate to this because I used to work in recruiting, and I would get calls all the time from candidates or my clients that I was working to fill positions for, and I missed a lot of those phone calls, and the problem with that was I was losing out on the potential opportunity of placing somebody in a job. And that was where the bulk of my money came from. So essentially I started to use OpenPhone. And when I say that this really saved my life for work, it truly did. It makes your life so much easier. And it's the number one business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Red Sox listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. This really saved my job, in full transparency, and I highly recommend it for you as well. So the Red Sox are coming off a big win against the Colorado Rockies, now on a nice 5-game winning streak, hoping to make it 6 tonight as they can hopefully complete the sweep against the Rockies. And Brayan Bello was the story of that game, throwing a complete game, giving up just 2 runs, both of those coming in the 9th inning. And what's allowed him to find so much success over the last month? His execution. He's executing his off-speed pitches the right way, and he's locating the strike zone a lot better, and it really is like night and day, and he's so much more confident. So when he doesn't get into trouble with walks, you're going to see a lot of his best stuff, and that's exactly what was on display last night. But speaking of players who haven't really been on display, Masataka Yoshida is expected to come back for the Boston Red Sox today. He was dealing with a shoulder issue and had surgery on it, so he's been out all year, but he's due to return from the injured list today, and Nate Eaton, in a corresponding roster move, will be optioned to AAA, and he ultimately was the logical choice in this situation because he was the man left without a place on the active roster, because once Yoshida comes back, it's like, okay, well, who doesn't contribute as much, then it makes sense for us to send back down. Nate Eaton knew coming up that this was a temporary thing for him, but I really respect the heart and hustle that he showed. He's 28 years old, went 6 for 24 in the majors this year with 1 RBIs, 5 runs scored, and 3 steals through 14 games. And his defensive versatility gives him a much better chance to return to the Red Sox later in the year. He is versatile defensively, meaning he can play a few different positions in the infield. Whether the Red Sox will have him return to the team later in the year is still up for debate. It depends what their roster looks like after the trade deadline. But Nate Eaton was the corresponding roster move to get Masa Yoshida back here in the Red Sox lineup. Now, people are really contemplating what's going to happen with Masa Yoshida when he gets back into the lineup. Where is he going to slot in? What position? What's going to happen with the Red Sox outfielder? So the plan primarily for the Red Sox is to have him DH. Because if you think about it, when the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers, they traded away their designated hitter and one of the best overall producers in the sport because of how productive he is at the plate. So you kind of lost that productivity. And now you're bringing Yoshida back in, who's been missing the whole season. And to the Red Sox, they see him as their DH. But with the crowded outfield situation that the Red Sox have right now, if somebody gets hurt, for example, Yoshida would be the next man up to play in the outfield because he has that type of experience. But because he's coming back, hopefully his bat gives a big boost to the Red Sox lineup. And after all of this chatter of Yoshida being back, the question now becomes, what does happen with the outfielder? Is Duran going to be replaced with him? Is Yoshida going to DH primarily and maybe platoon in the outfield if an outfielder deserves an off day? But there's been a lot of rumblings about the Red Sox trading Duran, who, fun fact, by the way, blasted a mammoth home run that went 456 feet in the win last night. And the cool thing about this home run was that it was the longest home run hit at Fenway Park this season. It was 456 feet right into the right field bleachers. It left the bat at 109.3 miles an hour. He really smoked that. His homer was actually 2 feet longer than the blast Romy Gonzalez hit of 454 feet on Monday night, and it was also the longest of Duran's career. So that's a cool moment for him. But the Red Sox at some point are going to have to figure out their outfield situation. And now that Yoshida is back with him primarily DHing, does that mean that you keep an outfield of Saddam Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, and Roman Anthony? But then again, Duran could then get X'd out of the equation, because the problem was, prior to Yoshida being back, the Red Sox were used to alternating guys in the outfield. So whoever wasn't playing in the outfield that day would DH. Roman Anthony, for example, has kind of been balling out in the DH spot for the Red Sox. So he's somebody who the Red Sox were really happy to have DH. But when you have a heavy group of outfielders like that, it's really hard to keep up with that type of schedule or rotation of having all these guys continue to platoon. So that's why I feel like the Red Sox are looking for stability now that they know Yoshida is coming back. So what does that mean for your outfielders? Because there's always going to be somebody on the bench every time, and that's where it makes things difficult. And that's why there have been trade rumors surrounding Duran. He is trying not to think about the idea of being traded. It's definitely in the back of his mind, but he talked about Alex Cora and trusting Alex to do what's best for the team. And the reason why Duran is being brought up in trade talks is because people think about the Red Sox overcrowded outfield situation, and they find it very difficult to justify parting ways with a guy like Wilyer Abreu, for example, because he's just hit very well over the course of the last couple seasons. I mean, he won a Gold Glove last year, but even at the plate, both seasons, he's been putting up really good numbers. So people are like, well, why would we trade Wilyer Abreu? when we could just trade Duran, who hasn't been as productive at the plate. Now, that's a lot easier said than done, because if you're the Red Sox, you want to get the best return as possible if you're going to trade one of these outfielders. But Wilyer Abreu's value right now is higher than Duran's because he's been hitting better, and obviously they both play sound defense. So therefore, Abreu gets the edge in that regard. So teams might look at the Red Sox and say, wow, you're obviously really trying to get rid of Duran because you have a packed outfield right now. And if the Red Sox do decide that they're going to part ways with Duran, that could actually be tougher than it seems like it might be, because of all the versatility that he provides. Not only his phenomenal defense that he has played in the outfield for the Red Sox, but also his ability to steal bases because of how fast he is. Those are both qualities that are really valuable in a Major League Baseball player. And they are something that Duran has always possessed throughout the course of his career. And the Red Sox are risking losing that if they decide to trade him, if they try to say, hey, we have too many outfielders right now, there's not really a spot on this team anymore for Duran, then they could pull the trigger, but they're risking losing their fastest guy in the lineup who can put pressure on opposing pitchers when the game starts. And you're losing a guy who also plays very good defense. So the Red Sox would know what the risk would be if they do trade him, that he could end up going off for another team. But I think Craig Breslow is okay with that because of the fact that he knows he's not going to settle unless he hears a return package that is something that suffices. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because while Duran hasn't had the best season offensively this year for the Red Sox compared to what we're used to seeing from him at the plate, he still is a guy that could provide some value because of other areas. And with Yoshida being back, the Red Sox somehow need to figure out this outfield situation. Do they let somebody go? Do they send somebody down to AAA and then they make room? Because it's tough to justify rotating outfielders and having somebody be on the bench every day. Because if your outfield primarily is Roman Anthony, and then Duran, Wilyer Abreu, and Saddam Rafaela, now you're looking at a situation where you can't even rotate one of them into the DH spot because Yoshida is occupying it. So is there a good chance that Duran gets traded? I don't know about good chance, but definitely a chance. The Red Sox are open to offers from other teams. They're not shutting the door and ignoring the offers, but I do think Craig Breslow is pretty picky about the returns that he gets for trades. So if he were to trade Duran, he would have to make sure that it's a package that suffices for him in his eyes, which makes complete sense. I totally get that. So he's not going to settle for trading Duran unless he knows the package is the right fit. So that's where we stand now with this Red Sox team. There is going to be some figuring out that needs to be done and some hard decisions. In the meantime, Nate Eaton was the one that was optioned to AAA Worcester because it was the most logical choice for the Red Sox to do that. But Alex Bregman is going to be coming back soon. Yoshida is back in the lineup to take over that DH spot. So what's going to happen with that outfield? Is Duran going to get traded? That's the biggest thing to look out for here in these coming weeks leading up to the trade deadline, which, believe it or not, is right around the corner. I did mention Alex Bregman and the fact that he is well on his way to being back soon. What does that mean for Marcelo Meyer's fate? That's next. If you really like summer sports, you can make money while watching those, whether it's high stakes soccer action, baseball under the lights, or golf on the green, you name it. Whatever sport it is, you can make money while watching it by joining FanDuel. My husband has it. I have a bunch of friends who have it, and they just talk about the bets that they've made on the app, and they get so excited because they've won so much money on it. So that could be you too if you decide that you want to take sports betting a little bit more seriously. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel is great because you can make a lot of money on it, but it's also a lot of work trying to figure out what to bet on and what makes sense. So check out FanDuel today if you're looking to start betting on sports. One question surrounding the Boston Red Sox right now is Marcelo Meyer going to back down to AAA? Do the Red Sox feel like there's not really a spot for him once Alex Bregman comes back? Because that is a big factor the Red Sox need to take in mind. Alex Bregman says that he has been feeling really good as of late. And if he had his choice, he'd be back on the baseball field already. The Red Sox are taking precautions. They're saying hopefully by tomorrow night against the Rays, he could be activated. They're taking it day by day with him. But the thing is, if he doesn't get activated in this series, then it wouldn't be until after the All-Star break. And that's fine because him getting more rest after being injured definitely cannot be a bad thing and is something that could probably really benefit him. So it's definitely not necessarily the wisest choice per se to rush him back. And it's not that he necessarily didn't spend enough time recovering from his injury. It's just more that he's a little bit ahead of schedule and he feels really good right now. So he wants to give it a shot. So the Red Sox could activate him for the start of the Rays series tomorrow night. And if that doesn't happen, likely after the All-Star break. But either way, Bregman is going to be back in this Red Sox lineup. That is something that people are going to need to adapt to because now Red Sox fans are used to a lineup without the injured players. So now you bring Alex Bregman back in, who's a really great leader on and off the field. And now all of a sudden you have your best hitter back in the lineup. And that's huge for the Red Sox. But what is the corresponding roster move going to be when Alex Bregman comes back? Now, the Red Sox organization, people among the team a lot, have expressed that they feel like it could be best for Marcelo Meyer to go back down to AAA and get some reps there. And that could make sense given the position aspect of it. Because if Bregman comes back, where does Meyer play? Do they just move him to second base and hope that he can play there and make as seamless of a transition as he did from being used to playing shortstop to then going to third base? That would be the question, is do they just say, okay, we're going to send David Hamilton down or DFA David Hamilton. We're going to keep Marcelo Meyer on the active Major League roster. Oh, by the way, we are going to have you play first base. That is a route that they could take. Another route that they could take is they send him down to AAA because they feel like there are still aspects of his game that he can grow in. So that way, then when he gets called back up, he will be out there and hopefully a well-improved player. So that's something that is a legitimate possibility that the Red Sox are exploring. And when they brought Marcelo Meyer up to the majors, the original reason for that was because of Alex Bregman's injury. Alex Bregman got hurt and had to go on the injured list. And then the Red Sox said, okay, we have a really talented infielder in AAA right now. Let's give him a shot. It seemed like the Red Sox really liked what they saw in Meyer. So they were like, all right, we're going to call him up to the majors, see how he does. And then eventually he'll replace Trevor Story. That to me seemed to be the ultimate reason why he was up. It had less to do with Bregman and more to do with the fact that Trevor Story was really struggling. So their intention was to have Meyer replace him at some point. But now Trevor Story has been heating up over the last few weeks in the time that Meyer has been up. So it feels like he could be the odd man out on the roster. A lot of people are saying just DFA David Hamilton and have Marcelo Meyer move over to second base when Alex Bregman gets activated because he plays third. But the problem with that is that, again, you're losing speed on the roster. And I think the Red Sox really value David Hamilton too much to lose him and lose his spot on the team right now. The thing is, David Hamilton would be really good in a pinch running role in the playoffs. Have him be a guy that you call back up to the Red Sox when the roster expands for the playoffs, but keep him in AAA right now where he can get more reps because he seriously struggles at the plate. So that's a route they could go. And then they just decide, hey, we're not ready to send Meyer down, so he's going to play second base. Or they say Meyer needs more reps in AAA, so we're going to give that to him. But either way, at some point very soon, Alex Bregman is going to be called back up and be activated from his injury. And everyone's really excited because of just how much Alex Bregman has done for this team and how much he's made a difference in the little time so far that he's been here. So when he gets activated, a tough roster decision is going to have to be made. Is Marcelo Meyer going to get sent down to AAA? Because of that, you'll just have to tune in to the Red Sox and their story to find that out, because we will figure out on a day-to-day basis what goes on with these players. I'll give you the latest news, but ultimately it's on the Red Sox front office to make that decision. Does Meyer stay? Does Meyer go? So time will only tell. But thank you for tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. I really do appreciate that. For your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On MLB Game Night on YouTube or any other podcast platform, as it goes over all of the day's games, so you don't have to rely on consistently checking ESPN scores. It'll go through and tell you everything that happened around Major League Baseball that day. So make sure you check out Locked On Red Sox on any podcast platform and then check out that show next after it. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.